It's Bank Holiday Monday. It's a little bit cooler today, which is nice. There's a nice breeze. So today I'm going to have a general tidy up in this area. I want to try and get dug to where the poppies are there and then bring it across, and then that leaves me that section for the rest of the week. So I'm just going to have a bit of a tidy up and make a start. Quite get as much done as I wanted to, but it's looking a lot better than it was this morning. And one of the other plot holders bought some Swiss charred up yellow and red varieties, so I just put those in. I was going to plant some myself shortly, but if they're already ready and available, I'll take them. So I think that's enough on this plot for today. What I'm going to try in this greenhouse is a very simple self-watering system. What I've done is I've got some 6mm, which I think is 1/4 inch wicking cord. So I've wrapped it around the base of the melon and then into a milk jug, and I've put a little mark on to where it is, and the idea is it'll slowly seep the water constantly into the ground and keep the melon slowly fed with water all throughout the day. At the moment I'm just trialing it on the melon, so I'm going to leave it for a day or two and see what happens. It should work, I can't see any reason why it wouldn't, and then at least if I go away on holiday, if I can't come down for a couple of days, I don't need to worry too much. Also, one thing I forgot to mention and film was last night I installed a self-opening window catch. Got it from Gardening Naturally. Seems to have done the trick. When I left last night it was closed, and when I got there this morning it was open, so hopefully it'll save me the job of having to come down every morning before work and open up the greenhouse. And if it's any good, I might see if I can get one and put it on the polytunnel windows. A few weeks back I managed to pick myself up 2 of these cheap steel garden arches, and what I want to do is I want to try and grow the squashes up and over if I possibly can. I did want a couple more, but unfortunately they're out of stock throughout the entire UK. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these poles here. I'm just going to extend them across, and I'm not going to be able to do the full bed, but I'll get as far as I can, and then that means I should be able to get my squashes planted out today. I've still got a little bit of digging, but that'll only take me an hour or so to get that bit, and then enough room to get the squashes in. I've measured out the length of the poles that I've got, and it's going to give me a small gap either side, but I'm sure I can find something to plant in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cable tie or zip tie the rods to the inside of the frame using the horizontal bars as a guide, and then I can level it all out and square it up, and then I'm going to cover it with some form of mesh. I've got the support beams in place, but they're not the strongest frames in the world, and as you can see they're a little bit wobbly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hammer in some stakes into the ground to strengthen it up, and then I might put a cross brace across because I don't want it falling down with the weight of all the squashes on it. So I'll just go and cut some bars down and get them in. That took so much longer than it should have, mainly due to the fact that the 2 metre by 4 metre mesh net that I bought wasn't actually 4 metres, it was slightly shorter. So as you can see, there's a little gap at the bottom that I've had to make up, but hopefully it should be okay. Doesn't look too bad, it's fairly stable. I'll give it a good shake, seems to be okay. And if I can, when I get hold of another arch, I'm going to put it in the centre, which will strengthen it up even more. But I'm not going to have time to get it planted now because it's almost 2 o'clock. So I've just put in a couple of tomatoes and a couple of cucumbers. The cucumbers weren't looking the best, so I thought if I put them out and they don't make it, I've not really lost anything, so I've got 2 more that are going to go in the polytunnel. So that's a moneymaker tomato, and that's the bluebells, and hopefully they'll climb all the way up and get to the top. And I've got some beans and melons and whatnot that I'm going to fill the rest of the space up, so it should look quite nice, hopefully. It's Wednesday morning and I've been down here for a couple of hours and it's gone really, really well today. Me and my little friend, we've been busy and we've got a fair bit dug over. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and get a couple of squashes and I'm going to pop them in. First off, I'm going to put a couple of butternut squash in. I've dug a hole and I've put a handful blood fish and bone in the hole, and then the soil that I've taken out of the hole I've put in a handful of the Vitax 6X. So I'm going to give that a good mix round and then I'm going to get the first butternut squash planted. It's the first and second pumpkins in, and I'm planting them at 32 inches or 80 centimetre spacings, and the idea is they can run down this bed. By the time they get going, I think the poppies will be gone, and then I don't need to rush too much to get the rest of it dug because they'll give me good ground cover. So I'm going to get the other 2 in, same process as before, 6X, blood fish and bone, and then water them all in. All 4 of the large Charmont pumpkins are in, and what I've done is I've built a little moat all the way around them, so when I water them it doesn't run everywhere and it concentrates it around the root ball. I've also got some smaller squash that are just I've just bought the seeds yesterday, so I'm planning on filling up the gaps with I've got 3 different varieties, so I'm going to put 3 on this side and 3 on that side, and hopefully it'll all grow over the arch and look quite nice. It's Friday the 2nd of June, although you wouldn't believe it because it's 10 degrees, which is just 50 Fahrenheit. It's absolutely freezing. I've decided that this is going to be the asparagus bed, so I've dug up all the self-seeded calendula, well, the majority of it that was actually in the bed. I'm going to plant that on the second plot, and then I'm going to get the asparagus. There's 8 there, and I think there's another 8 inside the polytunnel. So I'm going to give this a good weed, take the onions out, which are starting to go to seed, and then dig it over and get it all planted in, and then just leave it and wait a couple of years for it to mature, then I can start harvesting it. So that's the asparagus bed done. What I might do now is put some sort of surround around it to protect it from the elements just for a little while until the plants get established, and then it's I'll just leave it to its own devices. Right, let's move on to the next thing. My little friend's come to see me. Seems to like that arch. Every time I turn up, it just appears from nowhere. Right, let's get on with the tidying. Just a quick update on the chillies, and I think potting them on and increasing the nutrients in the compost has really worked. As you can see, you're starting to get some nice dark green foliage coming through, and on a lot of them where the leaves had fallen off, they're starting to re-sprout leaves. So maybe all is looking good. It's early Sunday morning and I've come down, and all I've done so far is harvested all of the garlic, onions and shallots from out of the far side of the polytunnel. So that's all clear now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all these trays off the staging, fold the staging down, weed the bed, prepare it with the same as yesterday: bloodfish bone, 6x and chicken manure, and then I'm going to get the rest of the tomatoes, the cucumbers, the melons and possibly some of the peppers planted in. It's going to be a little bit of a juggling act because the things that I want to put in the beds are on the staging, so once I might have to put it all outside, take the staging, fold it down and then bring all the stuff back in as required. Hopefully I should be able to get some of these flowers actually into the ground, which will free up a couple of trays worth. So it's going to be a busy morning. Let's get started. With the staging, what I did was I built it and I created some sort of, well, you can see that, some makeshift hinges that wrap around the mid-bar of the polytunnel, and I made them the length that they are so that they're just long enough to fold down out of the way, and they're just held in with these legs that are screwed in. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the screws, fold them down, and then you'll be able to see how it all works. And there we go, it's as simple as that. Staging is out of the way. You can see the hinge mechanisms that are created there. It's a polytunnel all planted up. Put the last 3 tomatoes in, 2 cucumbers. I've got 3 honeydew melon and 3 cantaloupe melon, and then some sweet peppers. And the paracord finally arrived, so what I've done is stringed up a wire all the way across the top of the polytunnel, secured at both ends, and buried it underneath the melons, and the melons at the back will just grow up the netting that I've put in. So that's the end of this week's vlog. Hope you all enjoyed it. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next week. So thanks a lot and goodbye.